we do go live, let's see what. Go live. Okay, I'm going to have to remove that destination. That's so weird. LinkedIn has just said that I can't go live on my business page. So I'm going to go live. I will go live on my personal page then. Oh, God. How annoying is that?
However this works.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, why make things easy, I guess, right?
Yeah. Okay. So that means that I'll need to go to my... So if anyone's listening to us at the moment, yes, we are live, but LinkedIn's just playing funny things with us. And
we're just trying to figure out where we're live.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have to hop over to my personal profile. And yeah, I don't know why LinkedIn makes...
There you go. I just got a notification that you're live. Let me click on that and see where it goes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I think I might need to tell people to go over to my my personal page to know that I'm live. Or why don't we just go for it? Should we just go for it? It'll do. Anyone who's connected with me, we'll see. And I can see that we've got some people here who are live and they are watching. So there you go. Let's do this. Hello. So here I am with the very amazing Ryan Rhoten for my Time for Global Connection series of podcasts that I started when COVID lockdowns started, and we realized that we need to keep connecting with each other. Yes. So hello, Ryan.
Yeah. Hello. It's good to see you again. It's been way too long.
I know. It's been about 4 years. Ryan and I met about 4 years ago, and then I interviewed him on my podcast, Your Career, and then Ryan interviewed me on the Brand New You podcast, and we've become good friends ever since. And Ryan is now in Colorado, beautiful Colorado. How is it over there?
Yeah, it is. It actually is very beautiful today. It's getting a little warm. It's summertime, it's kicking in, but it's nice here. And hi, Susan.
Oh, good. You can see the messages before me. Can you just look at the messages and tell me what's coming up, because I need to refresh it on my phone in order to see it. So here we are. So I'm delighted to have Ryan Rhoten here because he's a branding specialist, and he is the author of Career Cred, which is a fabulous book that helps to support career professionals. And these days you are focusing a lot, Ryan, on business branding as well and getting the message just right. And I think because of, these COVID days, and you know what, in Australia, our unemployment rate is really the highest it's been for many, many years. It's jumped up from 6.2% in April up to, well, they're predicting that it's going to go up to 8%. But in the US, the unemployment rate jumped in April to 14.7% because of the coronavirus pandemic. And so there are lots of people who are quite concerned about their careers right now and how are they going to get another job. Businesses, some have been closing down across Australia too. And we need to get businesses back into business so that they can start hiring, so that professionals can get back into jobs. Would you agree, Ryan?
No, 100%. Things are same unemployment type stuff here. Things are like some of our businesses, at least in Colorado, are starting to open back up now. But what's interesting is like restaurants operate at such razor thin margins, and they're only allowed right now to open up to 50% capacity. And even at that, they're estimating, I just read an article this past week, they're estimating that 56% of the restaurants in Colorado might have to close in the next 3 months if they can't get back to full capacity soon. So,
yeah, it's such a worry. In Australia, we've had 102 pass away because of the coronavirus, but we've been able to shut borders because it's an island continent, and so things seem to be under control. And things the past week or so have started opening up more and more. And I actually went to a restaurant for the first time in 2 months in last week, and it felt a bit surreal because it's like, oh my God, is everything okay? Right. It's really nice to be able to see people again. But in Australia, we're faring reasonably well, and things are progressively opening up. But because things are starting to open up, people are really worried about a second wave, and many businesses won't be able to survive if there is a second wave, especially in the hospitality industry. So we do need to be very, very careful. So now today, what we want to do is we're going to talk about how businesses can brand themselves to stay in the public eye and hopefully to grow, and also how professionals can build their personal brands so that they can secure their next role if they have been stood down or furloughed or laid off, or whatever the word is that anyone's using anywhere around the world. But how about let's find out a little bit about you first, Ryan. Can you give us a brief introduction?
Yeah, sure. I'm Ryan Rhoten, for those who don't know, which is probably everybody watching except for you, and Andy, who's on there now. Hi, Andy. How are you? So I run a company called Career Brand, and I help businesses clarify their messaging so that people know exactly what they do, and they no longer have to spend any more time explaining what they do and how they benefit their customers. I've become a very big believer in simplicity and clarity as a way to separate yourself and stand out from your competition. Because the truth is, when we have to stop and think about doing business with your brand or doing business with someone else's brand, there has to be a differentiator. And usually branding and marketing has always focused on what's that USP, and that's still important. But today, especially because things come at us so quickly and we have to make fast decisions, it really comes down to how simply and clearly you can explain your products and services. And if you can do it so well that I don't even have to think about the value that I'm going to get from it, you have an advantage over the people who are still doing the older traditional marketing.
What a beautiful, clear explanation, Ryan. That shows why you are the expert when it comes to messaging. I'll just do a quick introduction of myself. I'm Jane Jackson. I'm a career management coach. Most of you already know me, and I've noticed that we've got some nice little messages here. There's Susan Jenkins. Hello, Andy Foot. How nice to see you as well. So that's good to see you. If you are watching, do type in the chat box where you're watching from, so we know where you are in the world, because it is time for global connection after all. But as I was saying, I'm Jane Jackson. I'm a career management coach, and I specialize in career transition coaching. So basically what I do is I help executives through the emotional roller coaster of redundancy or career change so that you can create a career that is truly satisfying and rewarding as well. So it's quite simple. It's not rocket science, but most people tend to lose a little bit of confidence when they go through a change in their careers, especially if it's a redundancy or a layoff. And when you're having that little bit of a wobble, I help you to create the clarity so that you can build your self-confidence and move forward. And today what we're going to be doing is talking all about messaging. So how can you get your message out so that your business can grow and your career can grow despite changing times? We're living in a VUCA world. It's volatile. It's quite frightening at times, but we will get through this. And I always think that with a little bit of support from each other and, global connection and really reaching out is very important. And Ryan and I met on LinkedIn many years ago, and he's in Colorado, I'm in Sydney, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world anymore, we can still be part of this global team. Yes. So Ryan, how about to start us off, let's find out about business to business. Okay, we need businesses to be in business in order to create jobs, to hire people. So it all goes round in a circle. So can we talk about employers branding? And then later I'll tackle personal branding with regard to careers. So what's the first thing businesses need to think about, Ryan, when it comes to getting the message out and branding themselves?
Yeah, so the first thing they need to think about is their customer and who it is that they serve. And one of the big changes that has taken place in marketing, I'll say old marketing, traditional marketing, to now, is consumers have become much more savvy. They know where to go to find information. And the old marketing, and when I say old, I mean like 5 years ago. That's how quickly things have changed. But old marketing said that your website, for example, should be basically a brochure about you, your products, and your services. And so when you went to somebody's website, it was all about them. It was all about how they got to where they are, when they started their business, how long they've been in business, all that kind of stuff. And now today, that has totally shifted. So what used to be you-facing stuff, website pointing back at you and talking all about you, now has to be customer facing. Meaning when I come to your website, I read your marketing, I read your brochures, whether I read your posts on LinkedIn, for example, I should see myself reflected in your products and services. Because if I'm going to do business with you, I need to be able to know with confidence that you can help me. And I can't help you, or I don't know if you can help me when I see a bunch of we and I and me and our type of language on your website. And so really what I help clients do is understand their customers and their problems and their obstacles so well that we flip the website and make it customer facing. So when their customers come to their site, read their brochures, see their marketing, they go, oh, wait a minute, Jane's talking about me.
Exactly right. And the thing is I think you're right, because when you land on a website and it's like, oh, I do this, I do that, or we do this, we do that, I actually don't want to hear that. All I want to hear is my pain,
yes,
my
correct,
problem.
100%.
And if someone talks about your problem, you think, oh my God, you get me already. And I think that's what businesses really need to focus on. And so how do you help businesses to do that? Where do you start? What questions do you ask them in order to take them on that journey so they get the right words out?
Yeah, so great question. I actually have a process called the brand messaging system that walks you through not only identifying your core message, but also how to leverage that message into everything that you do. And it all starts with identifying your customer and their persona. After we get past that, which you'd be surprised at how many businesses don't actually understand some of that information about their customers. But besides that, I use to help determine their messaging a methodology that I learned from StoryBrand. Those of you who may or may not have heard about it, I'm a certified StoryBrand guide. And so I walk through a very set framework, ask multiple questions so that we get down to the core message. And that first question that I ask people is, when folks come to you to do business with you, what do they want? What is it that they want to get from you? What do they want? What are their goals? What are their aspirations? And the answers to those questions have to be framed in a way that they relate to you in your products and services. So for example, Jane, it does you no good if somebody comes to you and they want to go on a trip to Tahiti. I mean, never mind that they can't do that now. They may want that, but that's not something that they want that's related to you. And so first we need to understand, what do they want that relates to your brand? And then the next thing we need to understand is, what stops them from getting it on their own? Because the truth is, if we could all get what we wanted, there would be no businesses. We would just go get stuff. So we have to understand that, and the way I like to look at it is that it's an obstacle course. And we start here and we want to get here. And as we're making this journey to get to what we want, we run into these obstacles, these things that prevent us from moving forward, which in traditional marketing, you refer to it as problems, pain points, those types of things. And we have to identify what those are as they relate to preventing our clients from getting what they want, so that we can start talking about them. Because the truth is, when we stop talking about our customers' problems, they stop listening to us. So, and that's a key flip in messaging today. Most companies, it used to be, I'll market to you with messaging that I want you to know about. And today you have to market with messaging that you know your customers are listening for, which is, does Ryan understand, does Jane understand what my problem and what I'm facing? And once you know those two things about your clients, and by the way, another layer to that problem is, how do those things make them feel? Because when you hit a roadblock, you know, as you're navigating a career crossroad, for example, and you hit that first obstacle, it makes you feel a certain way. And you say things in your mind as you're frustrated, overwhelmed, upset, whatever it might be. And the deeper you can go into that underlying problem with your potential clients, your prospects, and then talk about those things in your marketing, your messaging on your website, the more of a connection and the quicker of a connection you will make with them, because they will go, oh my gosh, Jane gets me. So you have to talk about, what do your customers want and what are the problems that they face and how do those things make them feel? And when you do that, you now begin to get permission, if you will, to position yourself as a guide, as someone who can help them overcome those obstacles. And so we go through a positioning exercise to position them as a guide. And then we also have to help them understand that you have a plan. Like I can actually, it's not just me saying I can help you, but I can actually help you. And so we put together a plan that they can follow through, take action, and achieve success.
I like that methodology. You know, so many companies, when they start writing their copy for their text or their newsletters or whatever it might be, they talk about the features of what they offer instead of the benefits to other people, because everyone's thinking, well, what's in it for me? If I'm going to fork out money to pay you, how am I going to feel at the end of it? Because I'm frustrated right now and I don't want to be frustrated later. So really, any business, especially service-based businesses, you take people on a journey from their current state to their desired state. And I know,
right.
You know, for example, for me with the copy that I might write for my clients, instead of saying I'm a career coach with X number of years experience doing whatever it is, and I do career coaching and group training, those are just features, aren't they? Whereas if it's the benefits that we're talking about, on my LinkedIn profile, what I say right at the top is many people find it a challenge to manage their careers effectively, especially when they're not sure of their true passion and direction. If you're at a crossroads and feeling stuck, let's work together. You know, so it's like people have often said to me, oh, it was like you were talking to me, because I say, how did you find me? They said, well, you found me actually. I said, but I think that's the magic of getting the wording right. And so I love it that you delve deep into your clients' psyches, so that they fully understand the problems of their clients as well. And then once you do that, what next?
Yeah, and it's not to say too that the information about you is not important. It is important at some point. People want to know that you've been doing what you do for a while, but it's not nearly as important as what our brains tell us it is. And so you have to talk about your clients, talk about what they want, talk about their problems, help them understand that you get them before you earn permission to talk about yourself and how you help. And that's the way I like to look at it, from a marketing and messaging standpoint. You know, features are really kind of what you do. Benefits are how you help. And so we have to think about what are those benefits that we provide our clients. How do we, you know, if we're not providing them any value or any benefits, they may as well go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, so having that structure to work from, to really first set yourself up to position yourself to be the person to help, is super important, especially today.
You know, because of all of the challenges that we've had, you know, ever since this COVID-19 pandemic, you know, burst upon us early 2020. I mean, 2020 it's been such a year.
It's a year to remember, right?
You know, just as an aside, I watched a Michael McIntyre, you know, the comedian Michael McIntyre, this video clip of his last week. And he did a video clip of June 2019 and with a crystal ball. And he was predicting what we would be doing in 2020, June 2020. And if anyone said you'd be going to the supermarket with a mask on and gloves on and feeling nervous, you'd think you were a robber. And then you'd only be allowed out once a day to go exercising. You'd think, I'm in jail. I mean, how the world has completely changed. But so now, as we navigate, you know, really this volatile situation with COVID, and hopefully we're all coming through it now, what are the first things that you would recommend businesses do in order to ensure that they stay front of mind with their customers?
Yeah, so there's two things. One, make sure your message is customer facing, so that you're talking about your customer and about the things that you know that they struggle with, and about the things that are important to them, not us. Like, we need to know what they're going through, and we need to help them understand that we know what they're going through. And the second thing we need to really keep in mind, and this is what I'm finding, especially with a lot of my clients who are a lot of coaches and consultants, is they don't have a really great digital presence, meaning they're not set up to capture leads. They're not set up to find prospects and nurture them through like a typical digital marketing phrase would be a sales funnel. And really today, if you really want to put an analogy out there, a sales funnel could equal survival for some people. Because if you don't have an email list that you're not in contact with, you're reliant 100% on getting your word out through, social media platforms, through paid advertisement, those types of things. Whereas if you have a list of people that you can send information to, you're much better off as a business. I can tell you personally, these last 2 months for me have been the best months of my business since I started it almost 4 years ago. And it's mostly because I've built up a list and created a digital presence where when people come to my website or they come to my profile, they look and they see themselves reflected in my words.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is so important, because without a list, I don't think businesses really can survive, because not everyone hops onto social media to look for things. Whereas if you have a newsletter that comes in that provides value, to be quite honest, we get so many emails these days. Any email that comes in, I tend to, unless it captures my attention, I tend to delete before reading. So getting that messaging in your heading is very important, isn't it? In the subject heading.
Yeah. And, most people are like, oh, I don't want to send emails, and it's not that they don't want to send emails, it's they don't know what to say in the emails, which is one of the things I help people flush out through their marketing processes, how you send emails that matter. And, when you get to the point, the other thing to keep in mind too, is if you send an email a week, even if people just delete it, they still saw it. They still saw your name. They still saw the little blurb that's there, as the email comes in. You're still staying top of mind with them. And if your emails are to the point and they're talking about their problems and things they're struggling with, they're going to be much more apt to open them than if you say, hey, guess what? I've got a sale today on something. Like, that's about you again. Tell me first why I care about your sale. And then you can talk to me about the sale. But you gotta have your emails so that they're addressing issues and problems and challenges that your clients are facing, and the emotions that they're experiencing. I mean, we're emotional humans, and I don't remember what the stats are exactly, right? But we make decisions based on emotions, and then we justify those decisions based on facts. And we will essentially do almost anything to avoid pain and avoid frustration and avoid overwhelm. And if we talk to our prospects and to potential clients and let them know that we understand what they're going through, we're going to tap into that emotion, and they're going to know that we get them, and they're going to know that we can help them.
Another way to reach customers, and I've found this to be really effective for relationship building, and I know you know this as well, is through podcasting. Because you have the Brand New You podcast, which is excellent and all about branding. And I have your career podcast, which is all about making a successful career transition. And I found that a lot of people reach out and they say, well, I've been listening to you. And thank you, for the advice and guidance and the interviews. And I've interviewed you as well, Ryan. The interviews are so valuable because they get different perspectives from different people who've made career changes and have been successful. And I think podcasting, when I first started, there were only 250,000 podcasts globally. Now there are millions and millions of podcasts out there. I think because people have realized people like to listen to content, when they're out walking or driving. And in the US, you're driving for hours.
Yeah. Well, not right now, but
well, normally, unless you drive round and round in circles and not go anywhere, otherwise you get in trouble. But I tend to listen to podcasts when I'm out walking. And I learn so much, and I love audiobooks as well. And I think if you're going to be getting your messaging right, make sure that if you do have a podcast, to be consistent. Consistency is the key with messaging, isn't it?
Yeah, totally, 100%. And with podcasts too. I mean, I fell off the podcast wagon last year, and so I'm getting it going again. But audio is one of they say this is one of the reasons podcast really takes off, is that it's one of the most intimate forms of communication, because you're literally sticking someone into your ear and you're hearing their voice and you're hearing their inflections, and it can make a really deep connection with people. I still remember standing in the Indianapolis, Indiana airport 3 years ago, talking to my wife before we were getting ready to go on a trip, and somebody comes up and taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, are you Ryan Rhoten?" And I turn around, I have no idea who this person is. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And she goes, oh my gosh, I listen to you every time I work out. So it's just that kind of intimate experience. And podcasting is great. And there's somebody who's watching us now, Andy Foote. He just released what's an excellent podcast called Footnotes. And for those listening right now, a little hint, his podcast interview, I interviewed him for my podcast that will come out this Thursday. So Andy, if you're still listening, that's probably news to you because I haven't told you yet, but it's coming out Thursday.
Very exciting. And hello, Andy. Nice that you're here. And also, if you've got any comments or if you've got any additional questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments as well. I'm checking periodically. I think it's a bit easier for you to see because you've got it on the computer and I keep checking my phone. So there you go. I don't want to keep looking at my phone, so I'm going to leave it up to you.
They keep popping up. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. But when you say hello from Ryan and Jane. That would be very, very nice as well. And so now, does anyone have any questions at all with regard to their business and business building, or with regard to their career and your personal branding for career? Now, Ryan has a method, an interesting method called the DICE method, okay, for branding as well. Do you want to just quickly go through that?
Sure. I mean, that's one of when you invited me on the show, I first thought, oh my gosh, how long has it been since we chatted? And so since you and I spoke last, I have written and released a book. I was let go from a company after 13 years. So I know and understand deeply what that feels like, right? So I get those problems and feelings that people struggle with when they go through that. And I've started a business. So very just super interesting for me anyway, the transition I personally have gone through. But the process that's defined in my book, Career Cred, as you mentioned, is called DICE, and it just stands for define, integrate, create, and engage. And it's really the 4 steps that any brand, whether you're a business or a personal brand, you need to go through in the beginning in order to develop a brand, especially a digital presence online, so that you get found and recognized for your expertise. And I don't know if you want to go into each of the 4 steps, but they're within each of those 4, there's like 3 simple little steps within it. And it doesn't take a lot of time to get it done, but it does take some effort, because especially in the define stage, because you want to ask yourself questions that maybe you've never asked before. So
yeah, well, the thing is that so many people, when they go through a career change, if it's due to a redundancy or a layoff, they think, oh my goodness, I need to get another job fast. And what they do is they just throw together a resume and they start making online applications, and they haven't done the discover bit, have they? They need to discover who they really are, what they've got to offer, what really makes them tick. Why would they be of value to their next employer? What is it that they can actually do? Basically, it's a what's in it for them, for your next employer. That's the important thing. And people, just as we were saying earlier about features and benefits, they talk more about the features of, like, I've got this qualification, I've got 5 years experience or 10 years experience or whatever, but that doesn't tell people what you can really do. And the accomplishments, the tangible results that you have gained for the company or department where you've worked before, that's what's really going to sell you, because we need to have someone who's able to adapt to different, changing circumstances, who can save money and accrue profits, streamline processes, something that you leave an organization with, that because of you and your existence, everything is a little bit better because of the way that you did it. You know what some people say, though? They say, oh, Jane, I just did my job. I didn't do anything special. I just did my job. But it's so important to remember, when you're in career transition, no one could have done it the way you did it, though. And if you weren't there, the outcome wouldn't have been exactly the same. And you've really got to think, what was the outcome because of my personality or my skills and what the way that I actually did something? And I find that when people start thinking about that, they realize that they are really sitting on a mountain of value within them. They just don't recognize it yet.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many parallels between what you just said and just business messaging as well, because personal messaging or business messaging, you still need to talk about the problems, the things that you know that the people you're speaking to want, and the struggles that they have. When you're an expert, when you become so good at something, your thought process and your brain thinks at a different level. And so skills and things that are important to your job, you start to take for granted. And frankly, you assume everybody else knows the same thing. So you basically devalue your value because you just assume that everybody else knows it. Well, business is the same way. You become an expert at your business. You think up here, but yet prospects and people who come to you are down here. And so when you talk jargon or you talk about your business and you talk up here at this level, these people down here don't understand. And so the way, even in personal marketing and in business marketing, the way we close that gap is through simple, clear language that people don't have to think about. But you can't get to that level of clarity without really defining what you want to be known for if you're a personal brand, and also the same thing, what you want to be known for if you're a business brand. Because businesses get into this trap of, well, I want to make more money, so I need to add more products, I need to add more services, which basically just says now you got to add more people, and then eventually all you're doing is when you have COVID, you now have to let go of all of your people. Instead of doing that piece differently and rethinking their business, they just stay up here and they don't get simple and clear from a messaging standpoint, and even from a running a business standpoint from your business model. And it makes it much more challenging, especially when you have challenging times.
Yeah. So many parallels between what you really focus on now and what I focus on. And with my book, Navigating Career Crossroads, which behind me, and here, second edition has just come out.
Nice. I gotta get a second edition someday.
Yeah, let me send it to you. This one, I'd be very, very excited for you to actually critique it as well, because I'm in this version, there's a lot of extra information about all of the changes on LinkedIn and for job seekers, and also for business builders as well. But my focus is on job seekers. This is how you can really leverage LinkedIn to work for you. But just as you've said, you need to have so much clarity with regard to yourself, and you can think of yourself as a business as well. Think of yourself
totally.
as a CEO of your life and your career, and how would you market yourself? And one of the things is that I show you within the book as well is I go through a careers 7-step process. And the first one is you've got to rebuild your confidence and manage your stress levels. And there's a whole lot of techniques that you can use in order to do that. And I know it's a very stressful time at the moment for so many people. But the next very important step is assess what makes you tick. It's taking stock. It's like taking an inventory of yourself, as businesses would do as well. And I'm sure you take them exactly through a very similar process on the business side. But for individuals, you need to know what motivates you, what demotivates you, what skills do you have? What skills do you have that you actually enjoy using, rather than being very good at something but you don't enjoy using it so much? Because then you're headed for burnout, aren't you? And then, what are the values that drive you? And thinking of personal values and career values, I like to put them both together, because our career is our life. And so, think about the things that really drive you. And, one thing I always tell my clients is that if you know what your top values are, decision making will never be hard again. Because every time you're going to make a decision, ask, am I going to compromise my top values if I do this? And if I'm going to compromise a value, I'm aware of it. And is it okay to compromise it for a certain reason? For example, say if you've taken out a large mortgage and money has become important, but it's not actually a driving value of yours, but you've got to pay the mortgage, then money is going to become, for a while, a very strong value for you. And if you're going to do something just for the money, it's because of this. So that's why you might compromise another one of your values because of this pressing need. But you're going in with your eyes wide open, so it makes sense. So important to really know the values, your why. And, as Simon Sinek says, start with why, for businesses as well as for individuals. It's very powerful, isn't it? Understanding your reason for being.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, a friend of mine Mark Anthony Dyson during a interview on a podcast with him one time. He told me, and I actually use this in my book. I obviously credit him for it, but he said we really need to think of ourselves as a business of one. Like we as individuals, whether we're business owners, obviously if we're a business owner, we have a business, but if we're individuals in our career, we're still a business of one. We still have skills that we're selling to hopefully the highest bidder. We're just entering a long-term contract with them if we go get a job, as opposed to when you start a business, it's much more shorter term contracts, unless you're doing retainers, and we can talk about all that stuff. But you still have to define in business what you're going to do. You still have to define your skills. I put out a video, by the way, on my YouTube channel called Define Your Niche, or niche, however you'd like to say that. And it's just a simple little exercise that I take people through to help them understand who they serve, the skills that they have, and the experiences that relate to all that, so that they know how to begin to build their messaging. So if they want to check out my YouTube, just look up me, Ryan Rhoten, on my YouTube channel. It's called Define Your Niche. It's a short little 2-minute video, but it's a really good exercise. And people are really surprised at what they discover after they go through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting that clarity makes such a difference, doesn't it? Because as soon as you're clear, you feel confident. I know what I'm doing now, because it's not all foggy and fuzzy and confusing. And I think that's, both of us, we're coaches. We're coaches. And what we do is we help to clear all that fluff and bother and grayness and ambiguity, so that you have a very clear path moving forward through this global pandemic, so that you can rebuild or build your business and build and rebuild your career as well. Now, Ryan, I could talk to you all day. Okay, because there's so many. I mean, we're really on the same page. I think some people might start to fall asleep. I mean, I have been told that I have a very soporific voice, so I know I put people to sleep, but then I've been told it's very soothing as well. So you can only talk to me for so long, or listen to me for so long. Now, I want to tell people, if you want to find Ryan, please can you go to LinkedIn Made Simple, because Ryan has a very good course here for anyone who wants to get started on LinkedIn. All right, and that'll be a wonderful place to find Ryan Rhoten. If you need support in your career, go to the careersacademy.online, and you'll find me there, because I have a whole bunch I've got free masterclasses to help you in your career journey, as well as online programs. And there's membership there. I've got positive affirmations and meditations to help you manage your stress levels. There's a whole lot of stuff in there that just go and download, what you need at the Careers Academy online. And remember, Ryan's book is this one, Career Cred, which will give you a lot of clarity. Yep. And the
cover looks way better now the second time around as opposed to the first time.
I think it looks really powerful.
And by the way, if people go to LinkedIn Made Simple and they decide that they want to purchase a class, if they use the coupon code Jane Jackson, they will get a massive discount.
Oh, that's so nice. How wonderful is that? So guys, go there, okay? Just type in my name. Enjoy typing in my name. Oh, you're so funny, Ryan. That's so lovely. And of course, if you want to navigate your career crossroads, go and have a look for Navigating Career Crossroads. You'll find it at janejacksoncoach.com/book, or else just look on Amazon and you'll find it as well. And I hope that it makes a big difference in your career, so that you can really take control. And I mean, that's what Ryan and I are here for, really, is to help you so that you can create that business and life that you deserve. And we all work so hard, we may as well enjoy the journey as well. And if you ever need any support, just reach out. Ryan Rhoten on LinkedIn, connect with him, or Jane Jackson on LinkedIn, connect with me as well. We'd be really happy to see you there. So thank you so much, Ryan. Any parting words?
Yeah, actually I do. I want to your book, by the way, when I was let go from my company, I used your book to help me decide the direction that I wanted to go, because I had the same choice that everybody else has. Like, you get two choices when you get let go from a company: go get the same job somewhere else, or take a different path. And your book and the questions in your book really helped me determine and decide that, you know what, I think I'm gonna take a different path. And now I just can't imagine myself being on any other path. So thank you for your book.
It's all my fault.
It is your fault. Take the blame. Take the blame for this one. Take the blame.
But also remember, guys, go and subscribe to the brand new podcast. Are you going to reinstate it now, because you've got so many good episodes there?
Yeah,
you've just taken a bit of
the brand new you show. Like I said, Andy Foote is coming out this Thursday, and check out Andy's podcast too. By the way, it's called Footnotes. It's very good as well. Andy's really good at getting the best out of people. And so yes, I am currently trying to get back into the weekly release mode. So I'm getting guests lined up and doing interviews again. I have rediscovered the joy of podcasting after taking a hiatus. So.
Oh, well, I'm so pleased. Actually, while we're talking about podcasts, if you want to know a little bit more about LinkedIn, the good, the bad, and the ugly side, and also the downright funny side of LinkedIn, I co-host LinkedIn to Jack and Jill with the amazing Gillian Bullock, who's the LinkedIn ninja down under, and I just love her because she's so much fun. We co-host the LinkedIn local Sydney events, and they're actually LinkedIn global events at the moment because they're all virtual. But that's a really fun podcast. If you want to hear me being taken the mickey out of mercilessly by that LinkedIn ninja, go and find us on iTunes and you'll enjoy that too. So Ryan Rhoten, you are a wonderful man, and just such a talent as well. Thank you so much for coming on my LinkedIn Live. And time for global connection. Let's just connect and help as many people as we can.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye now, guys.